Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
It's a warm welcome to you from Abuja, a hot Abuja at that, from a beautiful studio. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of Money Radio. And today being Thursday, this is the energy segment of the program. My name is Case Hammond. I'm in the studio here with Mr. Anthony Uko. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll stop asking how are you now because you're always looking good. And anybody looking at this figure say how are you, the person is asking a tautological question. Welcome.
Thank you.
The topic we're discussing today is actually need for drastic measures as Nigeria's oil earnings prospects get grimmer. It would seem as though as OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, increase Nigeria's quota of oil production, Nigeria's oil production goes lower. That has been a trajectory over the past, call it 8 months. But it's not just 8 months, it's much more than that. But let's say 8 months to put things into context. At the beginning of this year, Nigeria was producing like 1.41 million barrels per day. That is in January. As a result of oil theft, the country actually produced less than 1 million in the month of August, making countries like Angola and Libya to pass Nigeria in crude oil production, daily crude oil production. The reason why this is a problem is because Nigeria, especially the federal government, depends some 40-50% on earnings from crude oil production. And when it comes to foreign exchange, talking about dollar, which is causing much of the nation's woes right now, the scarcity of that is actually 90% of it comes from the sale of crude oil. And when you have the country producing less and less of what gives it, or you can call it the cash cow, that is a problem. Bring us to speed, please. What is happening?
Like you've already mentioned, it's a very grim situation for a nation that depends heavily on crude oil production and sales for the bulk of its foreign exchange earnings. And in the months since the beginning of this year, it's been a problem. But when you look at it, that at the height of the COVID-19 lockdown, when oil actually, the price of oil in the international markets actually entered negative, you find that Nigeria produced as much as 2.2 million barrels of crude oil a day. It means that Nigeria has that capacity to produce beyond the quota that OPEC has given it, which currently stands at 1.8 million barrels per day. But the shocking thing is that, like you have pointed out, for the month of August, Nigeria actually recorded its worst production output numbers, going below 1 million barrels per day. The record that OPEC gave is about 972,000 barrels, and that is very, very.
It's abysmal.
Yes, it's abysmal compared to. But of course, we have seen these numbers dwindling since the beginning of the year, and despite the huge gains that many countries have made, many of the oil-producing countries have made from the high prices of crude oil, Nigeria has not benefited from it. Rather, it's been losing so much, and then because of the fuel subsidy regime that is still in place. The little it has earned, it has been using it to subsidize import of petrol for the country to consume. So it's a real dire situation that the country is right now. And the bulk of this has been as a result of crude oil theft, which is assuming very alarming dimensions by the day.
Stealing crude oil is, in my opinion, a different thing from stealing something like a phone, like that, your tablet, or something that you can just take like that, or
Yes.
money.
Yes.
Stealing crude oil, you need to have the infrastructure to steal crude oil. If, say, there is a pipeline here, I don't understand how these things happen really. That's why I'm bringing the issue up. If there is a pipeline here that runs through this place to another place, and another person or group of persons or organization, or when I say organization, I'm talking about criminal organization, come there to tap crude oil, there must be some connecting pipe. These things are very visible. How come it's turning into a rocket science to track these people who steal crude oil? Because if there is a pipe running from a major pipe to somewhere else, you can easily follow where that pipe is leading to, and then find out where these people are taking the stolen crude oil to and take the necessary action. That's how I see it. Or is there something different from that?
Of course, from a lay person's point of view, and this the pipes that actually transport this crude, they are not small pipes.
Yes.
If you happen to have seen them, they are very huge pipes, and from my understanding, interacting with the expert, the pressure of this crude is also very heavy. So it is not something. It's not a. So as a result of that, it's not run on very feeble pipe that you say somebody can just puncture with anything. And of course, it's become widely. The outcry has been so pronounced lately because of the huge impact, adverse impact that this is having on the entire nation. Um, it's been determined that the problem of crude oil is actually of crude oil theft is not for amateurs. It is real. It's an organized crime with people who have huge resources to be able to put into the kind of technology that is needed to tap crude from the various pipes. And it's gotten so bad that Pengasan now, that's the petroleum workers, the association, the senior workers, went on a rally last week to kick against this crude oil theft, and they are saying it's gotten so bad that this crude oil theft, the thieves, they actually know some of the top management, the people who are responsible for exploring this crude, that where a company stops their operation and then there's no crude in that pipe, some of them actually get calls threatening them that if they don't produce and let crude go into that pipe, they are in danger and their families are also in danger. And so you see that the situation has really gone out of hand in such a manner that it's not something to be handled with kids' gloves. And it's like that's what the federal government has been doing all this while
Handling the thing with kids'
with
gloves.
kids' gloves.
Yeah, that tells us that what the people who are involved in this are not you and I.
No, it's evident, it's
Yes,
apparent.
it's very apparent that it's not you and I. We don't have the capacity to do that. It's people who have money, huge investment money that they invest into crime,
Yes,
and crime is paying. It's paying. That crime is paying off.
at the expense of Nigeria and
Yeah.
Nigerians.
Now there are implications to this. There's no doubt about it. There are
Yeah.
implications. You talked about the crude oil producers or those people who mine the crude oil or bring out the crude oil to send to their stations or to ship.
Yeah.
They are being threatened that if you don't produce, we are going to. Your family
Your
is in
family.
danger. You are in danger. Your family is in danger. What do you think the next step would be? Is to leave.
Of course, that is actually what Pengerson threatened, that they would stop their members from continuing to mine crude oil if nothing is done.
Yes.
And of course, we've seen they also mentioned so many companies that have had to, stop operations in many of the oil wells and sites. And as long as this continues, it means that the picture is a very gloomy one when it comes to earnings for Nigeria, especially in view of the scarcity that it has experienced concerning foreign exchange and all that. And I what I don't understand about this issue, like you said, is why it is assuming this kind of dimension. For a country that depends heavily on crude, that is the area where you would
Invest your security
most. And then when it comes to the kind of technology that is used, I think there was a video that went viral at one point about the monitoring organ of one of the oil producing nations. I think, was it Saudi Arabia or Oman? And it was a huge facility with state-of-the-art technology where if crude is leaking anywhere, the system, just from the system there, they are able to pinpoint the exact location of that leak. And then where a crude is not a terminal is not producing as they expect, it's only by the click of a monitor they are able to survey all the area of their operations and know where the exact problem is and what to do about it. Yet you find Nigeria depending heavily on this single product, and then it's been treating this security of this investment without the kind of urgency that one should expect to see.
You see, in all of this, Nigeria has nothing to gain. Nothing to gain from this crime. Why do we say so? Obviously, although these people who are stealing crude oil are they are pumping huge investment into the theft,
Yes.
into the crime,
Yeah.
into that act. They are pumping into a huge investment. However, considering the fact that these very people are not being regulated, they have the freedom, just as they are enjoying the freedom to steal, they are also enjoying the freedom to be careless about the environment. Now, they can bring any pipes with an IOC, international oil company or a local company that is licensed,
Yes.
they can come under some scrutiny, they can come under some monitoring, they can come under some regulation to say, look, this your pipe is leaking and it's a crime and you need to fix it. That is something that they can monitor. But when you have a situation where thieves are out there stealing the crude oil, they don't have such, they are not bound by such regulation to ensure that the environment is secure, the environment is protected from what they are doing. As a result of that, you see environmental degradation. Now, with all of this, we know that farmlands are being affected. Rivers are being affected. The fishes are dying. All of this is having ripple effect on the economy. And people are just sitting down. Government is, I don't know what government is doing. Really, I can't say what is going on, but this shouldn't have come to this point. The level at which we are right now is like half of Nigeria's crude crude production potential
Yes.
is actually being sapped away. And it's not just the amount that we are looking at here. It is the long-term effect. Now, those people, those are international oil companies, you know that they have been divesting their interests, their onshore interests over the years
Yes.
because of the same theft.
Of course.
Now they have gone offshore to make it more difficult for the criminals. Some have left. Now, for those who are leaving, when will they come back? What incentive will there be for them to come back? So you see, there is a long-term effect in all of this. And with that long-term effect, Nigeria is not yet sufficiently diversified to say without crude oil, the economy can thrive. No, it's not going like that. It's going to be, in fact, we are already seeing this, the economic impact. But then besides that, there's an even more dangerous dimension this thing is going to take, both for the economy and for lives and property. It has often been said that Nigeria is more a gas producing country than an oil producing country. And of course, we have been seeing investment in production of gas.
Of gas.
With all this investment in the production of gas, of course, we can say it's likely to increase because of the situation we have in Europe right now, where Russia and Ukraine are fighting, and Western Europe is now thinking about avoiding the oil from Russia or oil and gas from Russia. In avoiding,
And the beautiful bride has
yes,
been
the
Nigeria.
beautiful bride has become Nigeria. Suddenly, the beautiful bride has become Nigeria. What we see here is a culture that is evolving of crude oil theft. It will soon be gas theft. Before you know it, now that is dangerous. That is dangerous.
It's not
Crude
something
oil
we should
is
even
crude
be
oil is
into.
not flammable.
Yes.
It's not that
As
as
flammable,
flammable
as
as gas. So we see the potential of villages being wiped out, people dying, but then the long-term effect is already it's also there. All of these things are actually going to, they are causing so much. Before we go, I want to tell this little story I read somewhere, and it was about this Indian who came to the Dutch land, that is the Netherlands, and he saw this Dutchman buying milk. How did he buy the milk? He simply turned the tap, the milk poured in, and the exact amount that milk cost, he dropped it in there. So the Indian asked her, "You guys in this country are so honest.
honest.
How come you are dropping the exact amount that, look, this thing, anybody can steal it, and it's possible that you could have stolen it and nothing will happen." So this Dutchman told him, "Yes, it's possible, but in the long run, we have a problem if people come to start stealing milk." He said, number one, the farmer who is producing the milk will feel discouraged.
Mm.
The price of that milk will become, the production of that milk will become, to
More
some extent,
expensive.
more expensive.
Yes.
Because if you are having people steal his milk,
Mm.
he's not going to be making profit any longer.
Yes.
So he has to increase the price.
The price.
With that price increase is going to affect the entire country. And what will eventually happen? The country, the Dutch government would have to start
Maybe
commissioning
increasing-
some task force
Mm.
or some commission to
Mm.
fight that crime of
Mm.
milk stealing.
Mhm.
And who will be paying for that? Taxpayers will be paying that extra office that has been created.
Yes.
So all of these things have ripple
Rippling
effect.
effect.
Yes, the same with this oil. We are seeing it today and think that okay, well, the people who steal the oil will give them chieftaincy titles. In the long run, it affects the larger economy. That's not right. You have anything to say before we leave?
Yes. The NNPC has repeatedly said it has deployed technology to curb the menace. Yet we are not seeing. I think it's high time they begin to learn from other oil producing countries who don't have the same challenge that Nigeria has. We've seen a number of countries coming to maybe learn some things
From Nigeria.
even from Nigeria in the areas where they feel Nigeria is doing well, or
Mhm.
there's one or two things that they can learn from them. I think it's high time they went to some of those countries
To
and,
learn.
and learn what they need to do, and then not just spending huge resources to embark on those trips just for the pleasure of it and for the extra code that would accrue to them, but actually going with the nation in mind,
Yeah.
and then coming back with solutions that we can um, implement here for a more lasting solution to this problem. Or else it will continue to be a vicious cycle. And then the regulators or the big players here, they won't tell me they don't know.
They know.
The people, the cabals, the big short criminals
Mhm.
that are responsible for this.
Well, it's just
It's
to go to the
time-
negotiating
yes.
table. Look, stop
It-
this.
It's time that they are brought to book.
Yeah. Yes. And just before we go, it's just worthy to mention that Nigeria is not the only place where crude oil theft is going on. In many other places, but Nigeria's has been worsening over the years. A place like Mexico, there's crude oil theft there. Iraq, there's crude oil theft. But these things have been fought over the years. That of Mexico is decreasing. Iraq, we know that they had this war over time, and as a result of that, you could see it's understandable that there was crude oil theft. War breeds criminals. However, those people are working on the menace. 5% of at the time, 2014, I remember Mexico had 5% of our oil being stolen on a daily basis. But now we are having up to 80% being stolen. So this economy is actually in trouble if nothing is done about crude oil theft. That's how we want to wrap it up today on Money Radio. It's been nice having you. Sir, thanks again for coming. Thanks to our producers, but our biggest thanks go to you who follow us loyally on this program. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh edition of Money Radio, which is transportation segment of the program. Until then, have a great day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.